Hello, friends! Happy Friday Eve. It is Thursday, January 16th. We are less than 48 hours away from kickoff from the second round of the NFL playoffs. What does that mean for us? That means we've got some underdog returns contests that we should be drafting. And alas, I won't make you wait much longer. We're going to hop in. We're going to rip some drafts here. I see we've got some friends in the lobby already. Thank you for joining me today. I am your host, StatATL. We'll go live again tomorrow for a final episode of the strategy stream, talking underdog playoff returns, best ball strategy. I'll answer questions. We'll rip some drafts. It'll be fun. You guys can put some obnoxious comments in the comments, and we'll all have a laugh. If it's your first time here, please click the like button. Feel free to give it a subscribe. I will continue to do work with 1 week season again next year, but I have created my own little YouTube channel about 2, maybe not quite 3 weeks ago yet. If you are not watching that here, please navigate over to at StatATL on YouTube and give that a like and subscribe. I really appreciate that. So we will wait no longer. I'm going to hop in a mitten draft here. About 90% full these things are getting. So we'll try to rip a couple of those tonight before the contest fills. So thank you for stopping by. Albertini, good to see you tonight. Go Collect, good to have you on board as well. Hopefully you guys are able to hop in some drafts along the way if you want to join. We'll talk some strategy. We'll probably talk some shit about our opponents and, question decisions that they make. For all of you who are curious, tonight we've got a Mandarin Jarrito, also top quality beverage. But don't worry, I know I'm almost halfway done with this one. I've got some root beers, stowed away, ready for action here once the Mandarin soda is consumed. We see Jahmyr Gibbs go 101. Tristan's dad, will he force me to not take a Detroit Lion? Interesting. For the record, I contemplated Saquon Barkley there. I feel like I haven't built many Saquon teams. Four-hole goes Saquon, A.J. Brown, building out Eagles. We pivot a little different here. Yeah, I know if you guys have watched the stream, you see that I typically prefer Amon-Ra and Jameson Williams in this spot when board is kind of presented like this. I'm pretty favorable into leaning into a team or two, and being willing to lose. I think that if the Eagles win the Super Bowl this year, my friend James, Eagles with all the Z, really good grinder in the best ball streets. If you don't follow him on Twitter, on X, he's definitely deserving of a follow. But man, he's big Eagles fan, as the name would suggest. He'd be very disappointed to see my Eagles allocations. So interesting start from the 2-hole going Henry, Josh Allen. For those of you who have watched this stream the last couple days, you know I think that that's a huge mistake, using such high draft capital on two players that are going to play each other. One of them is going to be eliminated come Sunday. Don't mind the Gibbs, Mahomes, Kelsey start. To me, it's thin. Like I'm pushing that every time. I also think huge mistake to take two quarterbacks in the first 3 rounds. You know, as we've talked about the last couple days, if you're new here, I'll try to kind of rehash some of the stuff because I know not everyone is tuning in every day. But you're giving away so much draft capital by taking 2 quarterbacks so early. I don't mind it if you're taking a second quarterback late in drafts. Yeah, I mean, I think the play here is to really lean into this, and if Jared Goff is to get taken, and Tristan decides he needs a third quarterback for Lord willing, only knows why, but I've seen it done. If you are in the 1 week season Discord, you probably saw yesterday I posted a roster of a gauntlet draft I did, not on stream, but the gentleman to my left, I believe in stream, took 3 quarterbacks, started out Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes, Lamar Jackson, was not on auto draft, and took 10 AFC players, including his quarterbacks. Didn't take a single NFC player. It was very impressive. Mike, thank you for joining us tonight. It's nearly impossible to push on DK, particularly in the $3 20 max room. Mike, I believe you. I would not know. I have been exclusively underdog. I think that you have a little bit sharper drafters here. But every draft we still see multiple teams out of the 4 that just don't know what the hell they're doing. And so I'm happy to kind of lean into that. So, this is kind of an interesting spot. I think I'm going to go Hollywood Brown here. So I'm a big proponent of either building around 2 teams, so like a 6-4 or a 5-5 construction. But I do think my favorite construction is either like a 5-3-2 or a 4-4-2, where your 2 one-offs, your 2 non-stacked teams. That team, for example, in this example would be Kansas City. I'll try to probably add another Kansas City piece in the next 4 rounds, is one that could play Buffalo in the AFC Championship game. And so have the ability to have 10 live players after this round is the goal. So to me, like, once I take a Buffalo piece, I'll probably take more Buffalo. Like, I wouldn't take Baltimore pieces on this lineup. I also, on a build like this, I would never take like Terry McLaurin personally. Like, I don't want advancement rate pieces because the easiest round to advance from is the first. I mean, it's still not easy. It's still only 1 of 4 teams, but it's the easiest of the rounds. And so to me, where am I going here? Hold on, we got 1, 2, we got 3 Detroit. We got that Detroit stack. We've got a Buffalo and a Hollywood, Kansas City. We're going to take Kareem Hunt here. And that will probably be the end of my Kansas City pieces, and I'll lean into probably Buffalo with the next 2, and then likely end this draft with a Khalif Raymond type. I can't think of Tim Patrick. Like to me, that's how I like to construct these builds. I like to try to set myself up with like a 5-3 or a 4-4, so I have 8 live players in the final, and then two players generally on the same team that could play in the AFC or NFC championship against one of my other opponents. I'll get to some of the questions and comments here in just a second. Let me see what Fluff is going to do here in the 4-hole. Jaden Daniels, second quarterback. We know I don't love that. I don't know that it. I can't really build a strong enough Kansas City piece to take a third Kansas City player here. And in my opinion, James Cook is the second most valuable Buffalo piece behind, obviously, Josh Allen. Whereas on this build, like Hollywood Brown, Kareem Hunt, they're not as, like, I would feel stronger if I had Kelsey or Xavier Worthy. Like, to me, those are the key skill position players that I'm trying to grab on Kansas City. All right, let's catch up with some of the chat. Go Collect says just went Gibbs, Williams, Laporta, Cook, Josh Allen. The other mitten they put me in. Yeah, I mean, I think that's a really strong start. I like that for you, Go Collect. As we say, do your best to land the plane. Psychedelic Curses, enjoy the content both on OWS and these solo streams. Curse, thank you for tuning in. Appreciate the kind words. Cocolum says, if you have a Baltimore-Detroit stack, do you need to draft another team? No, you don't need to draft another team in any of the drafts you do. You could certainly go 5-5 or 6-4. I think that's totally viable. I do that on some builds as well. Like I'm not going to just take one-offs or two pieces, like if they're not any value. What do I want to do here? I'm going to take one of these Bills, but let's see. We've got Cook, Jared Goff, and a tight end. So yeah, Cooper or Coleman is where I want to go here. Not sure I really have much preference between the two, to be candid. Yeah, so like in this draft, for example, I'm on the clock here at 22. And I've taken 4 out of my first 5 picks with Detroit between Amon-Ra, Jameson, David Montgomery, Jared Goff, and have James Cook. So I've kind of established that the lane that I'd like to go in this draft is Buffalo, Detroit. So when I get to 22 here, I'm looking at the board, and I've got, Hollywood Brown, McLaurin, Isaiah Pacheco, Bateman, Andrews. So to me, while there's still some good Baltimore pieces, like Rashad Bateman, Mark Andrews are strong options for Baltimore. Like, again, I've already kind of picked a lane with Buffalo, and so I'm never going to pick guys on purpose that are playing each other in the first round and going to get eliminated. So at that point, like there's no Detroit pieces that are strong that I need to take at 22 that aren't going to be available in the 9th or 10th round. Buffalo, like to me, once Shakir is gone here, there's no Buffalo piece that I feel like I've got to have. Like, to me, the Dalton Kincaids, the Keon Colemans, the Amari Coopers, they're all like basically the same player. So to me, I'm okay to wait on those because to me, like, had the option of taking Isaiah Pacheco or Hollywood Brown, Kareem Hunt. Like, these are valuable Kansas City pieces. Like, these are active pieces. So to me, it's just kind of seeing what the board gives you, being, as we talk about, being nimble, and just kind of seeing what the best options are. And it's kind of paying attention to what your opponents are doing as well. Like, I think most people would have waited on Khalif Raymond here. But I see that Tim Patrick went over here, and the 4-hole doesn't really seem to have a ton of, direction of what he's doing. Obviously, he starts out Philly and then goes LA, but then adds Jaden Daniels, which is not really correlated. He can't get Terry McLaurin. So it's kind of like, to me, I'm looking at this and I'm saying, I don't want to give him the opportunity to take Raymond, where I'm just as happy to take Amari Cooper or Keon Coleman or Dawson Knox. Like, they're all kind of the same player to me. So it's just kind of paying attention, I think, is important. I'll keep answering some of these questions. I don't think any of y'all were in this draft with me, so I'm not going to review all the teams. Obviously, the 2-hole here took 3 quarterbacks. We know how I feel about that. Thank you for your $5 donation to the pot in helping pay the rake. So let's fire up another one here in the Mittens returns. It's literally 91% full. So I'm just going to fire away. I will give you guys the opportunity of like a countdown. I'm going to try to fire 5 or 6 of these in a row, and then we'll call it a stream. Probably like a hard stop for me around 8 or 8:30. I've got another show I'll record tonight for 1 week season, the DFS Labs, where we'll build a roster on stream for this weekend's slate. I know a lot of you are OWS subscribers, and so you're probably avid watchers of those videos. So we will have some more of those out today, tomorrow, for this weekend's slate. Okay, so I'm in the 2-hole here. Let me see. Let's get a couple more questions. Do people think they're playing only against the draft room for 3 weeks? Can't figure out what some of these people are doing. Pepperoni, but we don't ask questions. What do they say? Don't tap the glass, in poker. Like, I use a lot of poker references. Not a big poker guy. I've played some in my time, but yeah, don't tap the glass. If people want to continue to be idiots and draft 3 quarterbacks or take 2 quarterbacks in the first 2 rounds, occasionally it will fuck you. It just will. But in the long run, I think it is vastly beneficial. Look at this. For those of you paying attention, Saquon Barkley. My boy, Amon-Ra St. Brown, on the board. We didn't take him. We're trying something new. We can't build 100 lineups exactly the same. We can, and I don't mind chopping with myself, 10 times for first place. No problem. Enjoy the content. Colcom says you lagged out with the video. Good now. Okay, apologize about that. Your audio is not matching the video. Is that still the case? Colcom says you may have to refresh your screen. Your feed isn't working. Okay, let me make my pick and I will refresh. Is Amon-Ra really on the board still? What the fuck are these people doing? Thank you. Come again. Love a good Saquon Barkley, Amon-Ra start. Obviously, sort of a suboptimal start. Couldn't pass it. I don't find myself ever presented this. So, this will, one of these two will be my 4-4-2 or 5-3-2. One of these will be the 2. And if Pimp Daddy Matt in the 1-hole decides to take Kelsey, I'm for sure know that it's going to be Barkley as the kind of too off piece with Philadelphia. But we don't want to influence our man Pimp Daddy. Jalen Hurts, even stronger. Okay, we're gonna try a little refresh here, see if it syncs back up. I will need you guys to kind of keep me in the know. Okay, let me know. Kind of scrolling out. My go collect. Am I still delayed? Still delayed. We can see your screen perfectly. Audio doesn't match your mouth. Gentlemen, I hate that. I hate that I had to take Jared Goff there because I couldn't trust this idiot. Peabody says nothing is being shared right now. Man, we are having technical difficulties while we're drafting a great team. I hate that. Just cam, zero screen. All right, we're gonna try a refresh here, boys. Okay, I think I am back. Hopefully, I didn't knock all of you guys out of this room with that attempt. All right, I think I'm back live. Let me know if you guys are seeing the screen, what the deal is here. Elmo fire.gif. Is it really? Is it world is burning? In a good way, Stat. Guys, give me a thumbs up. You see in the screen, you hearing me? Is it reasonably synced up now? I've done all of my technical things I can do. Turn it off and turn it back on. Good. Thank you. I'm happy to hear that. Okay, so we started off here a little, a little different here with a Barkley, St. Brown, Jameson Williams start. Wanted to kind of grab a second Eagle here. Didn't want to sacrifice the core of this build, which was Detroit. to grab like a Dallas Goedert. I just didn't think that made sense. So, Statman has a plan for how we're going to make this be a little cleaner if we want. I don't know that I'm going to go out of my way to, maybe this is just a 5-4-1 and Barkley is my only Philly piece. We'll just kind of see. So we've got 1, 2, 3. We got 4 Detroit pieces to go along with Shakir, Kincaid. I think this has got to be Ty Johnson in this build. Since I'm leaning into Buffalo here. Yeah, I think this is take one more Buffalo piece and then one more Detroit piece. To me, the only play that could potentially make sense on a build like this is like Kenneth Gainwell, leaning into Philly completely through the run. But I don't know that he really gives you that much. That he gives you that much more volume. Who else is taking? Well, got Laporta. That's Dean Gibbs. Okay, so this is one where I can just take Amari Cooper, be good with Shakir, Kincaid, Ty Johnson, Amari Cooper. A little weaker on the Buffalo stack, and as the last piece, like maybe it's a Keon Coleman, maybe it's a Tim Patrick, maybe it's like a Mac Hollins, maybe it's a Khalif Raymond. Even if he's here, I don't know that there's enough value in Kenneth Gainwell. Like I think this just becomes like a 5-4-1 where I'm hoping that on this particular build we get an Eagles-Detroit NFC Championship game. Thank you guys. Got a lot of folks letting me know that everything seems to be lined up and it's perfect. I appreciate that. Thank you so much. Again, we don't have to do too much critiquing. Pimp Daddy in the front, in the number one hole, starting with 2 quarterbacks in the first 9 overall picks. We know how I feel about that. We can thank him. Okay, so here I've got Goff. So I've got Amazon. I think on a build where I have Goff, I think I'm more inclined here to take a Khalif Raymond or a Tim Pat. Let's go Tim Patrick. I think I've got more Khalif Raymonds. Pretty even probably. I'm more inclined to take the pass catcher because if Tim Patrick does catch that touchdown in the NFC Championship game in the Super Bowl, that's benefiting Goff. I think if this is what would this be? If this was a Josh Allen build, I would be more inclined to take another Buffalo Bill here, a Keon Coleman, a Mac Hollins, a Dawson Knox. I would be more compelled to do that. I think that helps the lineup more. So we're gonna fire a couple more here in the mitten. We may do one in the gauntlet. Let's just kind of see how the night goes. I do think that this contest in the mitten, which is at now 92%, it's filled up 1 whole percent since we did that draft. Like this is probably going to fill in the next hour, maybe the next 2 hours. Like this will fill tonight. So I think we're just going to keep firing away in this. Maybe we'll do a draft in the gauntlet. We will just see. Saw a comment here I wanted to circle back to. Getting out of the second round of these is going to be tough. So building for a strong AFC Championship with Bills Chiefs is sharp. Yeah, Mets, I agree with that. I think it was one of the conversations I was having with Crutches, who is a really sharp best ball player. If you don't follow him on Twitter, he's worth a follow. Really sharp guy. Where we were kind of having a discussion, healthy discussion back and forth around like what makes more sense between like a 6-4 or a 5-5. So basically just building the whole roster around 2 teams, which he is a big proponent of. I don't mind the 6-4 or the 5-5 build, as I think we've done a few of those on stream. When it makes sense to take kind of those 2 one-off pieces or just a one-off like last round with Saquon Barkley when it's a pretty strong piece. Like, I wouldn't do it with, in the 9th, 10th round with Buffalo Bills to take like Kincaid and Coleman. Like, I don't know that they have that much value. But when you're looking, especially when you're looking at like Kansas City pieces, like all those Kansas City key wide receivers have 2 touchdown games in them. All right, back on the clock again. Oh, let's just take a look. ADP. This. Yeah, let's lean into James Cook here a little. If you guys have watched the stream, you have seen me take Amon-Ra, St. Brown, and Jameson Williams at the 3-hole, 3-6 quite a bit. It really deters. It really typically deters the 2-hole or the 1, whoever takes Gibbs. When you start Amon-Ra, Jameson Williams really deters them from trying to build Detroit as well, because kind of the 2 receiving pieces from Detroit have been taken off the board. Mr. Baker says, I have been watching your videos and did my first drafts in DraftKings. I want to thank you for your help. Thank you for tuning in. Happy to help. I hope there's another little mitten. Big Daddy, I think that there will be. It's hard to say. I'm not sure they'll do that, to be honest. It's going to fill tonight. It's just one and a half days to fill. They might do it because they're filling quickly. They're filling in a day and a half. You'll get the most people drafting Friday night, Saturday morning. Yeah, I think they're. I think you'll see another. I think you'll see another. This is an interesting decision I have here. I think it's Montgomery. I think is the right play here. Again, so Stump here in the 4-hole starts with 2 AFC pieces, obviously with Baltimore. Probably makes the most sense for him to go AJ Brown, Devonta Smith. Like that's kind of where he has to go in terms of like the most intelligent way to build these out. So to me, then the question at 14, do I take Sam Laporta? Which I think the answer to that is yes. Because I think that if I pass on him, the 2-hole is going to take him. So I think that the play here is to take Sam Laporta. And what I was contemplating is James Cook on this particular build. Would this be a consideration where I would take James Cook later on, add a potential second Buffalo piece, and potentially build this around Kansas City? Because when I'm thinking that Travis Kelce hadn't even been taken yet, so I'm looking at this saying like all the strong Kansas City pieces are still on the board. So takes Shakir. I think that this has to be Xavier Worthy for me. I think this has to be Xavier Worthy. And I think I got to see what Stump does here, because it doesn't make sense for him to keep taking Kansas City pieces. Like he should be taking like Dallas Goedert here. Okay, that's fine too. The question is, do I take Mahomes or Goff now? I think the answer is no. I think I keep pushing this. And again, there will be situations that in these next 4 picks, Mahomes and Goff will go, and both of these 2 will double up on quarterbacks, and this will just end up being a dead $5. But to me, I'm thinking, my opinion is that you should always, if you're doing a bunch of these drafts, you're not playing dollar amounts that are outside of what should be your comfortable bankroll. You should push these, and you should have some dead builds. Just my opinion. We've got a dead build here. So when I get to this spot, let me just queue up this. When I get to a spot like this, I'm looking like what's on the board for me to go. And at this point, like this is a completely dead build without Mahomes or Goff. Like I will probably build this out with just kind of the best players available for some scores. Probably take maybe one more. Yeah, probably take one more player for a score. Like I'm basically saying I need to get a wide receiver score out of Amon-Ra or Laporta. I want a pass catching score out of Worthy or Hollywood Brown. And then I'm looking probably for a score out of James Cook and then one of these other backs. Most likely to get me a usable score, I think, is either... It's probably DeAndre Hopkins. Actually, it's probably DeAndre Hopkins. Let me just see if I'm missing anybody here. I think the answer to that is no. But we'll take DeAndre Hopkins here. And then generally for me here, like this is clearly a dead build. Puka and Kyron off the board. I'm not seeing Nico Collins. I could just be Nico Collins off the board. Like no real way for me to build this lineup. So at this point, like when you get sniped, to me, like this is pick some strong guys, give yourself a chance to get, like, to me in a build like this, I would never, for example, I would never take a guy like Zay Flowers who's like unlikely to play this round. Like that doesn't help a completely dead build. So from here, I'll probably queue up one of these two, just give myself a chance at two different quarterback scores, a couple different running backs, a couple different wide receivers. And if I get $3 or $5 or however much you get back for advancing out of the first round on this, that's what it will do. So that's all you can do. Thanks for these streams and advice throughout the basketball season. Pete, thanks for tuning in and always enjoy chatting with you in the Discord. Raise It says Gauntlet Detour after this. Let's do one more mitten, Raise It, and then we'll try one in the Gauntlet before we kind of wrap. Damn those snipers! Yeah, they're everywhere, man. You got to keep your head down. We're gonna do another in the mitten. We're up over now. Like it climbed a full percentage in just the 12 minutes or 10 minutes since the last. So yeah, Raise It. I may not. I know I typically do one or two gauntlets on stream. I may just stick with the mittens because I think this mitten contest probably fills in the next hour. So I'm gonna probably just keep firing in that. Come on. Much better. All right, we got the one hole here. They keep getting me, buddy. They get everybody. They're out for blood. So I assume a lot of you who are in the chat, I know you guys are probably doing some of these drafts on your own. Any situations you've kind of come across where you weren't sure what to do, want to talk some theory? That's what I always enjoy the witty banter, and talking shit about our opponents who do things that I think are quite suboptimal. But any questions, any strategy things I can help with, please throw them in here. I'll do the best that I can to answer. We're going to grab Gibbs here because we don't typically do that. So we'll do it here. Score hole goes Barkley Brown. 3 starts Amon-Ra. Let's see what he decides. He goes James Cook. Lamar Jackson. So solid there. I would just kind of like to check a look at what ADP is saying people are going to do. I'm going to gamble a little bit here, I think. I'm going to gamble a little bit here. Reason for this, and I could be totally wrong on how this is going to play out, but I think that while the 3-hole does have Amon-Ra and goes Cook, I think that he's going to take Josh Allen with one of these two picks. And then while he may take Laporta or Montgomery, I think the other one likely comes back to me. Or he just takes Nico Collins. Like, fuck are you doing? Mike says, as a long-time Detroit Lions fan, born and raised here, it's exciting to see the Lions doing so well. I will tell you, my best ball exposures are cheering hard for the Lions. Both in regular best ball as well as these the regular playoffs as well as these returns. Mike asks, is this a draft for just the division round? No. So this is a draft. These drafts are all the way through the Super Bowl. So you are essentially picking players and teams, we'll say, that you think have a likelihood of getting to the Super Bowl. So generally, you really want to have a lot of correlation on these builds. Just randomly picking 10 players is generally a very poor strategy. All right. So we're not going to get Snow. We're going to get a quarterback. I think. We've got both Detroit running backs. So to me, this is a build where I'm more likely to want to take Patrick Mahomes and be okay if I don't get a Pacheco or a Kareem Hunt on the way back. And so this may be a build where we go 5-5, where we don't lean into any of the other teams, because by the time it comes back to me here at pick 32, 33 at the 8-9 turn, like I'm not expecting there to be a ton of exciting guys that on Baltimore, on Buffalo, that I'm excited to roster that I think have a lot of value. So we have a very interesting conversation to have here. And I think the answer is yes. I think you're going to see me take 2 quarterbacks. I think that this is a situation where taking Jared Goff in the 9th round is the correct thing to do. So I'm going to go Hunt and Goff and basically build this as, I believe, a 5-5, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then I've got Kelsey, Hollywood, Mahomes. Okay, so here In the 10th spot, this is one where we would consider like a Khalif Raymond. We'll probably, because I have two Detroit running backs, like it's likely that I'm going to be playing at least one of them in the Super Bowl if this roster gets through. So this is a build where I'll probably lean into actually a Kansas, like a deeper Chiefs player here. I think makes more sense on this build. So a Juju, a Justin Watson, a Noah Gray type. Spot in my heart for Mecole Hardman last year with his 2 touchdowns in the Super Bowl. To me, I think this is the way I want to go on this build. From your comments, it sounds like you don't believe a Detroit build of Goff, J-Mo, Laporta, Monty is strong enough. I do think that's strong enough. Yeah, I would be very happy. I would be very happy with that. I'm trying to think of where I don't have as many Justin Watsons. Let's grab Justin Watson. It's not your turn. Of course, it's not my turn because you can't ever seem to figure this out. All right, so we ended up with a 5-5 here. I do like that as a build. And one of the few times you saw me take 2 quarterbacks because I went Mahomes in the 7th and Goff in the 9th. We're going to fire another one here in the Mitten returns. When we see 2804, once you see a number get above 2804, that's when we're going to hop in. And maybe you guys were able to jump in with me. Pepperatoni has joined us. Mez 79 and Ronum. I don't know those two, but you may be here. Jared says, my brain hasn't been able to wrap around one advancement rate piece being bad. If it leaves. Jared, I think you're kind of splitting hairs. If you want to, if you have a build and you really want to take a Puka Nacua on a build where you've got some Eagles, it's not something that I'm going to do, because the hardest round to advance out of is the second round, where they're 1 out of 10, 1 out of 12, depending on the contest. And so to me, I don't want to purposely set myself up to know I'm going to be playing shorthanded. Just my opinion, if you're only doing it where maybe it's just one player, Jared says, not with the Eagles, with Detroit. Give me an example. Henry, Gibbs, Saquon to start. Sorry to say, you guys are seeing me lean into Detroit again. Puka with Detroit or Terry with Philly? No, I mean, I think that's fine because, like, Puka with Detroit, like, what that roster is saying is on this particular build, like, the Rams beat the Eagles. And that's a conference championship. Like, that's what I'm fully supportive of that. I'm fully supportive of a one-off or two-off, like a 4-4-2 or 5-3-2 or a 5-4-1, where you just have one player. Theoretically, that one-off player is a strong piece. So on one of the builds we just did like 20 minutes ago, like my one-off piece was Saquon Barkley. Like we built a 5-4-1 with just Barkley. Like I'm okay with that because that Barkley could play. I think obviously I probably built around Detroit. That obviously could be the matchup. All right, so not awesome, but this is leaning to this. Who likes running backs? Not this guy. So you don't call that an advancement rate piece? No. So to me, an advancement rate piece is taking a guy that can't benefit you on your roster after the first round. So on a build with Detroit, like I would never take a Terry McLaurin because I know that piece is either gone after the first round, which is the easiest to advance from, or if he's not, the roster's dead already because Detroit's lost and I've lost half my build. FYI, watching another stream earlier today, they said these ADPs are way off. Yeah. So hold on, let me pick, and then I will go. I mean, obviously, from what has just happened here, like this, I need a running back. This has to be Pacheco. This has to be Hunt. So what you're looking at here, these are actually sorted by my rankings. If I come over here to ADP, you see a shift. I've done enough of this where I know what kind of ADP is ADP, and so I've just got them arranged a little bit differently. Like I don't like when you open up the draft in the beginning where it's like 4 or 5 straight quarterbacks. Like I'm good. I know that that's not true ADP. Yep. Happy to answer your question. Hope I did there. Jared Charles says, thanks for doing these streams, buddy. Thank you for tuning in. Great to have you here. Peppertini says he hates my draft. 3-0 doesn't like you. Yeah, well, buddy, welcome to having the idiots in the draft. Happens every time. So I've got a pretty weak Detroit build here, despite going to Detroit pieces. I was not able to deter Detroit builds later, so all the key pieces are gone. So here with how weak this Detroit build is, I saw that Puka already gone. This is the opportunity for me, I thought, where maybe another Ram or two is beneficial. This is a build that is probably pretty thin to win with just 2 Lions, and not really a spot where I feel like I need to add a third pass catcher from the Lions without Jared Goff. So this is one where I'll probably end this draft with a Higbee or a Cooper Kupp here for another Ram, and then probably add another Kansas City piece. We'll just kind of see what the board presents to us. Not worried about advancement rate in these. No, yeah, I mean, the tournaments are so top heavy that to me you shouldn't be building to try to just get out of this round. You've got to build for what's likely to get you to the final. Yeah, so interesting. Even though Hurts is there, like I don't know that this is a lineup that I would take Hurts on. Like he literally does not have any benefit to this lineup. I might consider Hurts here in the 10th. Yeah, if I'm this team. These teams have been very helpful. Mike, I thank you for tuning in. The only time I draft Puka, Nico, or Terry is if they get pushed and I already have my Super Bowl built team. Yeah, A-Rod, I think that's totally fine. I would never draft them, even if you have your Super Bowl team built. Like, trying to think of a good example. Like if you have stacked Mahomes and all the Chiefs, like I wouldn't take Nico Collins because he can only help you one round on that build. And again, the first round, while you want to get out of the first round, it's the easiest. So we're going to fire again here in the mitten, guys. I'll give you another. I'll wait a second. I'll give you a number, 95.5% build. Getting out the trusty old calculator. $21.84. When you see this $21.84, you hop on in. Well, maybe I timed it better this time, and we'll see some friendly faces who will also probably likely snipe me because that's what you guys like to do. I'm trying, guys. I know a lot of you are trying to get in these drafts. With how quick they're filling, it's not easy to do. Psychos said, couldn't taking a second quarterback in the 6th round. Yes, it could. It certainly could. We were having that discussion in the 1 week season Discord actually just yesterday, maybe even today. The days blur together. If you are not a 1 week season member, there's a link down in the description. You can navigate over to oneweekseason.com. You can sign up for free. I believe it gets you access to certain channels in the Discord. There's plenty of free channels. I think the playoff best ball channel is one of those free channels. So if you're not already, go over to 1 week season, sign up for OWS free, get yourself a link to the Discord, and come join us there. Got a lot of sharp minds talking playoff, best ball, and these returns right now. We're gonna lean into Barkley again here. I know it pains me not to take Amon-Ra, but we've taken him so much. Let's take a couple with Barkley's. Hopefully these $5 drafts kind of help balance out my portfolio. There's something you don't see every day, Bob. Joe Mixon, 3rd overall. I hope he stacks him with Nico. Get that. Make sure that's real strong. $83% Henry in the returns. I love it. I've not been looking at my exposures. It's definitely heavy on Detroit. Wow. I was kidding. This one will be wild. It might. We'll see. Makes me think that the 3-hole is either in some type of collusion or just a complete wild card. Here's a off the board one-off for you. Yeah, of course. Take more NFC pieces. Do you not feel the need to max enter these best ball contests? I'm not opposed to it. You know, I maxed entered the regular mitten and the mitten 2. Didn't get to the mitten 3. I think I had 113 in the gauntlet. No, I mean I have a full-time job, so I don't get to just draft all day. Yeah, I mean I think it's a numbers game. I think you definitely want to be building for volume. So if you've watched the stream the last couple days, you know what I'm doing right now is a little deviating from what people would say is optimal. And the thought in this draft, for those who are curious, is that I'm considering making this be a Philadelphia KC build. With Monty as kind of that one-off piece. I think that will be very unique. Again, it's a pretty thin needle to try to thread here with this guy in the 3-hole, clearly like got 5 straight AFC pieces. Takes Devonta Smith. That's kind of okay, actually. No, not worth risking. Yeah, too many people trying to build around the same kind of thing. I don't know how strong this is going to end up. I think this is one where I have to pass on Dallas Goedert. I think is the Goddard should get taken here, but I think that on this build where I'm theoretically building for a Hurts, AJ Brown, Saquon Barkley kind of in the Super Bowl, and I'm going to definitely be playing theoretically Barkley as a running back in the Super Bowl. I think I need to lean in more into Kansas City pieces as well. Obviously, if Goddard's available here at like 31, 34, I'll happily take him. But I felt like he's the expendable piece on this build. Okay, so now which do I go first? Do I take Barkley or do I take Kareem Hunt? We've got Detroit here. We've got Buffalo here. He should not take Kareem Hunt. That would be the suboptimal play for him. So this is a spot where I'll take Goddard. I think it's more likely that Hunt is the one who comes back to me. But we'll see. I mean, it's tough because he just took likely, so he doesn't really seem to care. It is unusual to still see Puka Nacua, Kyron Williams still available in the 9th, 10th round. However, like this isn't a build that I would go that route because this build is around Jalen Hurts. Oh, 1, 2, 3, 4. 1. So this is probably like Kenneth Gainwell or Worthy, Hollywood, Hopkins, Hunt. This is probably Gainwell. It's not Pirine, or maybe this is again. Okay, so this is maybe Noah Gray because I don't have Kelsey on this build. I don't know that I've ever seen Puka Nacua go undrafted. That's nuts, especially with one guy who has no fucking clue what he's doing. Yeah, Puka Nacua undrafted. I think this is Noah Gray for me. I know it's tempting to take Puka Nacua here. It's just a mistake. Big Daddy Cincinnati said I took today and tomorrow off to draft. That's dedication, sir. I applaud you. All right, so let's rip one more in the mitten here. Let's kind of see. Maybe we even do two more. 97 filled. 64. When you see 64, you hop in. We got the fluff again. Yeah, I'm not sure we're going to get to a gauntlet on stream here. We'll try to squeeze in maybe one more mitten if it isn't filled by the time this one is completed. And then we'll probably call it a stream for tonight. I've got to go record another video in just a little bit here. So we will be fluid, but maybe this is a draft where we try to work in Puka Nacua and Kyron Williams. We'll have to see how the board unfolds to us. Unfortunately, since we're starting with Saquon, not going to be this build. Mike did a 4-4-2 Lions, Chiefs, Puka and Cat. Perfect. That's super clean. Gotham guy goes Jahmyr Gibbs. Jameson, Laporta, I like that leading into Detroit. Bluff, Amon-Ra, Josh Allen probably pairs up Josh Allen here with James Cook would be my guess, or maybe he goes David Montgomery. Those are really the only two picks that make sense for this build. So to me, this on a build where I take Saquon here, like this has to be AJ Brown, because the Baltimore drafter here in 4, like where is he going in the NFC? He either there's no Detroit pieces to take. I mean, he could take David Montgomery. He's kind of like maybe he goes Kyron Puka. Like this is a really tough spot to be when you start Henry Lamar in the 4 hole. You take Goddard now. Okay, yeah, that's very suboptimal, and I say thank you. So flop in the 2 hole probably needs to go Khalil Shakir here. I just don't know where else you're going in this draft. Jared Goff. Interesting. Likely makes my draft a lot harder now. Because Gotham's got to go Patrick Mahomes here. And then he's got to take Hollywood Brown or DeAndre Hopkins here. So this puts this roster in a little bit of a predicament because we don't know how much of an asshole WFW is. Like the pick for me here every time should be Dallas Goedert. That's what completes this roster. However, WFW does have Devonta Smith. Could be a complete idiot and rage draft, anger pick, whatever, and just take Jalen Hurts here. Could totally do that. I'm glad he didn't, but I think that's the risk that you have to take on this build. In the 1 hole here, like the Gotham guy, he's going to go DeAndre Hopkins. He's going to go Isaiah Pacheco or Kareem Hunt. Like 2 of my Kansas City pieces are going to go at pick 24, 25, which all is kind of the Lego that falls or whatever when Fluff takes Jared Goff. Like that's how the board has to play out. And as you guys saw, like I talked through that before every pick was made of like, this is what's going to happen. Like that's what I mean by paying attention to the board and being able to see like, what does this do for the rest of the board? And obviously like not every pick is like that where it has that domino effect like that. But some of them, especially at quarterback, really do. They really shape how a draft is going to turn out. All right, so we are 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3. Man, this is just like not great. I think that this is Ty Johnson. Fuck you. Or it's Kareem Kyron Williams. Could be that. I'm glad that you guys are watching. Know that that was an accident. That was not what I would want to do. Yeah, I think the pick there from me was Ty Johnson. I think here at this point, it's really more leaning in. It's taking Juju here. It's probably taking Kenneth Gainwell and moving on with this draft. Pepper Tony saying we're at 98.5. Yeah, we'll enter in one more mitten. Let's navigate over to the draft room, hit the drafts, hit the lobby, hit the NFL, scroll to the right. 98.6. We might even be able to get 2 in. Hold on. Let me give you guys a number. See if you guys want to try to get in the draft. 2174 divided by. Let's go at 40. So 21,740. Man, these things fill up so quick. This is like the first stream we've done in like 2 or 3 weeks of me doing these type of streams where not all my rooms are filled with all of you guys who are in the draft with me. And I'm not surprised the streams, the rooms are filling up so quick. We're at 98.6, 99, almost 99% full. Like, it's gonna fill. I'll keep an eye on it. I may have to try to jump in another just before it fills. This will probably be our last draft unless we get in the very, very last one. You should get a prize for getting into the last room before the contest builds. I'm gonna try. We may get it. We may get that in the next one. It's 98.9% now. We'll see if we wrap this one up in enough time to maybe get into the very last room. We'll see. I wouldn't count on it, but maybe. I do think they will. I do think there will be a Mitten Returns 3. I do think tomorrow morning. I mean, honestly, maybe even late tonight, you get another one. I would not be surprised to see them offer a Mitten Returns 3. Similar, 20,000, whatever it is, 22,000 person pool, $5 entry, 10K to first. I would expect, honestly, I would expect another one. Probably before 10 a.m. tomorrow. Very appreciative of all you guys drafting with me again tonight, being part of the stream, listening in live between Twitter and YouTube. We've got a little over 300 of you watching live combined. Always appreciate you guys tuning in. So we've started out Amon-Ra, Jameson, Kelsey. 2-hole goes Saquon, Josh Allen, Devonta Smith. 3-hole, Jahmyr Gibbs, James Cook, Sam Laporta. Probably a mistake on my part there, actually. Like, once Josh Allen is gone at 7, like, I think it's probably a mistake for me not to take David Montgomery at 9th overall. Like, Montgomery's, never mind. I was going to say Montgomery's going to go here, but he doesn't. This is a build where we're going to push quarterback. It's dangerous, but we're going to do it. It's dangerous because Hurts does nothing for me. So if someone times out, the timeout pick would be Mahomes, I think. Yep, Mahomes. So we've got another dead roster. Thank you, VS Yoga. You know how I know you're gay? That's right. Last chance to enter, 99.6. Psychedelic says 99.6, last chance to enter. 99.7. I'll get in there at 99.8, 99.9. I'll fire up another one. Let me get my turn picks here at 6-7. Even though it doesn't really matter because this is a dead draft. I think at this point, Puka's off the board. Yeah, there's nowhere else for me to go. I can't lean into like Nico Collins. I've already got multiple Kansas City pieces. All right, we got into one more draft right before it filled. Come on, active. I don't want to have to dance between these two. Let me see my queue, and then we'll come back to this. I think my queue should be this. And then honestly, I don't know that I care about this draft anymore. To be candid, this is a dead build. So we are one pick away here. Let's go to this draft. Last one of the mint 2. Literally was the last room, I believe. Peppertini, you get a prize. I think I literally was in the very last room. It was 22,028 when I hit draft. And I think it filled at 22,032. So I was literally the last 4 people in. So I get a prize according to Pepperoni. Seems like some people just like ruining other people's drafts. They're losers. Big Diddy, I mean, like that's just how it goes. Yeah, I mean, it kind of sucks, but it is what it is. Let me just see how that last one took out. Actually, the yoga took McLaurin because why the fuck wouldn't he? Yep, that's good enough for me. Drafts active. Says I'm on the clock here. Let's go to the draft. Yeah, this is Jameson Williams. Let's do this. This makes things more interesting. This format is too easily ruined by quarterback snipers. I don't love it. Yeah, I don't love it either. Okay, so on a build like this, where I take Lamar Jackson and I don't have Derrick Henry, what I'm essentially saying is in the Super Bowl, like I think that teams that are Lamar Jackson, Derrick Henry together are much, much stronger. But if you decide to do what I am doing here, what I think the absolute pick here, like this is a roster where I really need to get Justice Hill probably without Derrick Henry on it. But to me, what this build is essentially saying is if this is Baltimore, Detroit, like this is a build where I really want to have one or both of Gibbs and Montgomery. If I don't have Henry on a build where I'm building Detroit, Baltimore, like I really like having both. I think that's the best chance of this roster smashing. So the question here is now, do I want to get frisky? And I am. I'm going to take Xavier Worthy here as kind of like a one-off piece because I think that he's a strong one-off piece, and I'm willing to roll the dice that Juice Fest doesn't take 2 Ravens at 19 and 22. He may, but my roster won't be ruined because of it. But it would be a little bit of an uphill battle if he takes both Ravens. I'd like to think that he's going to take Dallas Goedert at this pick, which is kind of why I was okay with this. Or Jared Goff. Maybe he'll take Jared Goff and Goddard. I mean, Goddard probably isn't getting back to me. Goddard is going to get taken in the next 3 picks, probably by the James Cook drafter here, because he's got Devon Smith already. But I continue to be surprised. Could be Shakir Goddard. That'd be actually pretty smart. So this will be the last draft of our stream tonight. If you guys have any questions, throw them in the chat. I will do my best. 10-minute ask why Amon-Ra over Gibbs. For me or just in this particular draft, 10-minute? This one that we're looking at now, or the previous draft. I prefer Amon-Ra to Gibbs. I think that if I had to choose between Amon-Ra and Montgomery or Jameson and Gibbs, I would prefer Amon-Ra. This Mark Andrews pick here may have been a mistake. Like this, that probably was the right spot to take Kareem Hunt. Give me another running back that isn't Detroit, because there really isn't anybody else to take. Like, I'm not going to take Joe Mixon on this build, as I already have like Worthy as a one-off. Maybe he gets back to me, but I think that the right pick for me here at 26 should have been Kareem Hunt. But maybe it won't matter. Yeah, it happens. This is Justice Hill. And Patrick here for a little thin, but a fourth Lion. I've got 4 Ravens, I believe, with Lamar, Bateman, Andrews, Justice Hill with Xavier. So this then becomes a question of, do I think it's worth the value if Zay Flowers is available here at 39, or do I come grab a Chief? That's kind of the question. Zay Flowers didn't practice again today. I think he's unlikely for this round. So on this draft, I'm basically betting on a score out of probably Jameson Williams or Xavier Worthy, and then 1 score out of a Baltimore wide receiver, probably as an advance. I think I'm going to gamble on Zay Flowers here, as this could be a nice late pick for next round if this roster were to advance. So, fellas, that's going, ladies and gentlemen, that's going to do it for me for today. Appreciate all of you tuning in, drafting along. I am planning on doing this again tomorrow, probably around the same time, 7 o'clock Eastern. And we'll take some questions. We'll talk some strategy. We'll rip some drafts. Until then, thank you for tuning in. I'm gonna call it a night. And I like this. Maybe I'll do that. I will catch you guys tomorrow. Thanks for tuning in. Have a great night.
1 week season.